It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. It's our first round of 7 for 2025 for the brand new Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul category. We're at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, staying alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, we have been waiting for this moment, our very first race for this category. How excited are you?
Really excited, Greg, because last year when this was announced that we were going to be doing this, there was some speculation. We weren't really sure what it was going to be, but over the last few months, the hype has gotten bigger. They've been able to go out and test the bikes, so some of the competitors have got some laps on these things, and I'm really looking forward to see how this first race shakes out.
And these motorcycles are brand new by a company called Krämer, and this class is exciting. Here, take a look. So we have 15 riders that are in this category right here this weekend. We have 14 races over 7 weekends for the course of the season. And this Krämer, it's called an APX-350 MA for MotoAmerica. And by the way, the top 5 in this category qualified to go to the Red Bull Rookies Cup tryout later on this year in Spain. Super exciting. But Jason, there was a test. 8 riders showed up to Crescent just a week ago, and Chase Black was the fastest of the road.
Yeah, and we've seen Chase obviously in our MotoAmerica championships already, so it wasn't a big shock to see him lead the way. So, he's going to be coming in here, especially after that first test, feeling like he can come out here and do, win right off the bat. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
This is a MotoGP weekend. We're at Circuit of the Americas. So, Jay, why don't you take us for a lap around Circuit of the Americas and tell us about this amazing race?
Yeah, it's a very interesting track, Greg. Straight uphill up into that famous turn 1. Then we're going to go through all of these S's, a lot of left and rights. Once you get down that back straightaway, a lot of drafting into our stadium section. Really, the race, Greg, can come down to the last couple turns, though, turns 19 and 20, because it's a short run to the finish line.
It's going to be exciting, and it's moments away, so don't go anywhere. We're coming back to COTA with Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul.
Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul is brought to you by Parts Unlimited, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket power sports parts and accessories. Parts Unlimited, we support the sport. Motul, powering the future of racing. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. From the talent of Rocky
Welcome back, Circuit of the Americas, here in Austin, Texas. And we are getting ready for this Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul, race number 1. Jason, they qualified yesterday, and here is the way that they're going to line up on the grid. And not a huge surprise, I guess, as Di Mario leads the way.
Yeah, and he's comfortable right now with Bodie Paige and Sam Drane there on the front row. Chase Black, Kody Kopp, Carson King will be on row number 2. Back to row 3, we have Solly Mervis, Derek Sanchez, Rossi Garcia, Hank Bosberg, Ella Dreyer, and Correa on row number 4. And then we have Betancourt, Smith, and Fraley on row 5. They had all kinds of weather conditions yesterday, Greg. The first session, they went out on a wet track. Second session, it started to go wet to dry. And then by last evening session at 6 o'clock, track was fully dry. So these Talent Cup riders have got to kind of see all the different conditions here at COTA.
Now, trackside is the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa. What's going on, Hannah?
You guys, this... All right, there we go. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day for some racing. It is a new class. These are new motorcycles, a lot of new faces in the field. When I asked most of them how they tackle a circuit they've never been to before, they gave me the usual watching old races, even some of them watching Moto3, but the majority of them said they got a lot of laps here on the MotoGP video game.
Yeah, and that's really important, Jay. And I've done that before as well. It gives you a great idea. Everything's painted perfectly. It's just the elevation you never get the true sensation of.
Yeah, you don't. And this is going to be great. We're seeing a bunch of new faces. Bodie Paige here. We're looking out on the front row. Sam Drane there on the front row as well on the Estenson bike. So got some new faces here in Talent Cup, as well as a few that we saw in our Junior Cup programs from years past. Green flag at the back, Greg, means we're ready to go. Who's going to win this inaugural Talent Cup race?
Here we go. 8 laps scheduled, and we are getting ready to go racing when these red lights go off. It's MotoAmerica. Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul. Waiting for those red lights to go on and revs to go up. Here we go. It's time to get racing. Behind the bubble, we're gone. And now it's a huge uphill battle. These 50 horsepower motorcycles head up to turn number 1.
And Di Mario on the red 27 has been the guy that has set the pace. So I think that the big thing that I'm sure the field has sorted out is they got to get ahead of him early. Drane gets a good start up the inside initially. Di Mario makes the cutback though, Greg. And this is what these guys don't want to see. If you let this young man who won our Twins Cup championship last year get out front early, especially through these S's, he was extremely fast in split number 1 yesterday. And the fear is he could be gone. As you can see the field, there's Kody Kopp. So Kody Kopp in his first ride on this Talent Cup bike. We've watched him win multiple AFT singles championships, Greg, on that 12, riding for Team Roberts. Obviously one of the taller guys, but he's been doing a fantastic job.
The key to this whole thing right now, Jay, I think for the rest of the field is to get to this back straightaway and have Di Mario close. And right now he's doing what he needs to do in terms of just breaking any draft, the possibility of that draft.
Yeah, you see the 40 just runs up. That's Correa. He runs up the inside. You see a pack of 5 riders trying to chase down Di Mario, but the break has been made at the front for the 27. He's done a good job of getting himself out front and getting away from this big group of 5 riders. I figured, Greg, we'd have a little bit more as far as the people in this group. The second group looked like it was going to be more like 8 or 9 riders, so we'll see how that starts to pan itself out.
All right, so here goes Alessandro Di Mario. It's a Warhorse Ducati American racing team. That's part of that Warhorse HSBK Ducati racing effort. That big transporter of Josh Herron's number 1 plate, and they're supporting the team. We got a lot of manufacturer involvement in this class. And the 65 in second place is Bodie Paige from Australia on the CTR D&D cycles. All these competitors in this spec, Krämer APX-350 MA. That is...
He's still getting away a little bit here. I mean, they've done a good job. They've got to kind of go single file a little bit, Greg, to try to catch that leader. But Di Mario has made this big break. As you see, Kody Kopp just starting to lose the back end of this battle for second. And then we have a bunch of people running back in the 6th, 7th, 8th spots back here.
Well, the one thing that Krämer did is they came here and tested, so when we got here, at least there was an idea of gearing, but with the limited track time in terms of dry track time that we've had, a lot of these riders still trying to figure it out, and you can hear a couple of bikes bouncing off the rev limiter before they get to the final corner onto the front straightaway. So our first lap from a dead stop is in, and 1.3 seconds the advantage coming across the stripe for Di Mario over Bodie Paige on the 65.
Yep, Rossi Garcia here on the 30. Moving himself forward as well, Greg. He's got himself up into this 5th spot, and it's a good look.
Sam Drane out of Australia on the Estenson Racing APX-350 MA. And so it's good to see Estenson Racing, who continues in American flat track racing, but they're going to be supporting this flat tracker turned road racer from Forbes, Australia, Sam Drane.
Oh, look at the move by Rossi as he runs up the inside of Drane there. right at the tail end of these S's. It's a great move. So the 30 definitely on the move right now, now he's going to try to get his head down and catch up to Bodie Paige, who's put some distance on this group battling for third.
Rossi Garcia out of Texas, San Marcos Iron Doors 316 Rossi Motorsports.
Drane repays the favor, Greg, as they go down into turn 11. That's going to probably hurt his exit just a little bit. You can see that the 30 of Rossi turns back up underneath him there. So Rossi Garcia trying to get in this fight now. He's going to get in the draft of Drane. And just behind them, you see Kody Kopp back there and Krämer back there as well. Krämer looks like he's trying to get in the draft of these guys.
This is the first of 14 races for 2025 in the MotoAmerica Championship. And so this is a big one here at MotoGP weekend. It's a road to MotoGP class as well, this Talent Cup.
Sorry, Greg, that's Derek Sanchez. My bad there on the 23. So Sanchez doing a nice job here as he's kind of cut back up to this last battle for the podium spot as Paige and Di Mario have broken clear of these guys.
Ooh, and the number 40 of Juju Correa out of Florida getting a little sideways into the corner on his Jones Honda-sponsored machine. And that number 12, Kody Kopp on Team Roberts. Yeah, Kenny Roberts. That's why you're looking at that paint job. You're looking at those leathers, and you're thinking that looks awfully familiar. That's why, as Kody Kopp, the 3-time American Flat Track single champion, getting after it here in road racing.
Yeah, for Kody, this is all brand new, isn't it, Greg? I mean, it is literally all brand new for him. Being on a road race bike, we spoke to Kenny Roberts yesterday, and he was talking about how they just kind of thrown him into the deep end, as now the 22 has got himself. That's Ella Dreyer. She's got herself right in the mix of this battle as well. So Ella trying to figure out a way past Kody Kopp. You can see her in the draft there. She's going to pop out of that draft, pull up alongside, and probably make this pass on Kody Kopp as they get to the top of the hill. She makes that pass on her M313 Krämer bike.
Yeah, so Ella Dreyer out of Florida at the test a week ago, second fastest, only a half a second off our fastest rider. Oh, and we have somebody down.
Looks like, is it the 20?
Possibly be.
No, I think it's Layden. I think it's Layden Smith.
Yeah,
I believe. So it looks like he's going to be okay on the 24. So, yeah, I think it was Layden.
All right, so it's Smith, the D&D certified racing machine. He's out of this one. He's got another shot at it in a couple hours. Back to these podium positions as Di Mario sits out front, Jay. 2:28.726, so faster than qualifying, just as we expected for the 27 on the Warhorse Ducati American Racing Machine. Now, American Racing and Warhorse partnering, Jay, and something of note that a lot of people haven't heard of yet. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Hannah, what do you have on Di Mario?
Well, he's one of the few riders in the field, Greg, that has actually been to this track before, but it's not without its own set of challenges. He only set sights on the motorcycle that he's riding right now for the very first time yesterday morning. He also mentioned to me that because of his size, he's 5'10", which is quite a bit taller than some of the other riders, that it actually takes a lot of effort to make himself small and get down behind the bubble in the straightaways. It's actually one of the most physical aspects of this. But aside from that, this is one of his favorite tracks, and he did clinch his championship here last year, so that's why he's off to such an incredible start with such a good team around him.
Yeah, Hannah, he was extremely good here last year in Talent Cup, and he had a lot of pressure on him, but he just went out and dominated the Twins Cup race, both of them here. As you see the 31 now, Greg, Hank Vosper gets himself into a good spot here to continue battling for this final spot on the podium. So, yeah, but for Di Mario, like Hannah said, he was really the class of the field here last year, and he's showing that same form, Greg, on these Talent Cup bikes now.
There's the 31 of Vosberg out of Wisconsin on the Tytler Cycles Racing. Tytler Cycles, of course, you know from MotoAmerica Superbike class. That's a dealership up in Wisconsin. And for Vosberg, he comes from concrete floor, dirt track racing, ice racing he does. He's Supermoto Series champ as well.
I think Kopp just went wide in that last corner. I saw a flash of yellow go across our screen as we were focusing on Ella Dreyer on the 22. She pulls up alongside Julian Correa going up this very steep hill here at COTA. So it's still, though, Greg, Sam Drane, who's there. Yeah, that was Kody. I saw Kody go across our screen. So, you know, look, this is his first time doing this stuff, Greg, and it's learning by trial and error a little bit here as you see him just lose the front in the middle of that last corner, and he'll get himself back up, hopefully get his bike going again and finish this race.
I can't wait to see what he has for the rest of the season. Correa on that Jones Honda has copped the number 12 on the Team Roberts Krämer APX-350. Yeah, he is 6'3".
On the back of that bike like that, yeah.
This isn't like a super mini bike, but in talking to a lot of these riders that came from our old Junior Cup series that were on the Kawasaki Ninja 400, a lot of them did comment, say how small the bike felt, but also much, much lighter than those bikes. And this is a race purpose bike, as now the 59 of Drane continues to lead this group. As we look at different lines, this is one of those classes, Jay, with only 50 horsepower, too. You got to keep your corner speed up.
Got to keep your corner speed up. But Drane, he's a dirt tracker, and, you know, like, the one thing that the dirt trackers will definitely be able to be used to is drafting, because we see them do those on the half miles and miles and things like that. So, you know, they're going to be used to that aspect of road racing. The rest of it's going to be a little trial by error. And like I said earlier, we saw Kody make a small mistake, as these guys now are getting really racy down into turn 12. Drane holds them off. The 30 of Rossi Garcia doing a nice job. This continues with this big group, along with Sanchez and Ella Dreyer just sitting on the back of them right now.
So Drane, who was third overall in the Crescent Test a week ago, now comes under fire. But it's about that drive out of the corner. Is the 31 going to be able to hold it? Drane trying to go around the outside. They're side by side. So Drane will get that position back.
Yeah, and he's done a nice job. And, you know, Greg, we've talked about the size of Kody Kopp. And, you know, there's so many are smaller in stature. And you can see Drane fits on this bike really well, because he easily gets into the bubbles. He runs a little bit wide. Yep, saw him get in there and run himself just a little bit wide there. So the 31 sneaks back through. That's Hank Vosberg now, who's taken over that third place spot. But this is the kind of battle here, Greg, that you can see just going down to the end. And for Ella, look, she's got herself, she's pulling up alongside the 40 now.
Ella Dreyer on the 22, right part of your screen, getting after it. We saw this rider loves passing people on the brakes, but just got hung out there. And so it looks like Dreyer's going to be on the back of this. She goes up underneath. Doesn't quite get that done for the moment, but still in the mix for this final podium spot.
This is where Vosberg, if he wants to try to make a break on these guys, he's got his chance right now. First time through the S's, he's going to be leading through the S's. He wants to try to distance himself a little bit from Drane. And if he can do that, you can see that gap is just starting to clear up, or just starting to get a little bit bigger between the 31 and the 59.
Impressive run for this young rider, Tytler Cycles, Hannah.
And I mentioned at the top of the show that a lot of them were playing the MotoGP video game to learn this track. Hank Vosberg was one of those, but he said nothing can quite prepare you for the elevation change in the blind corners here. It's much harder to learn than the game, especially in yesterday's inclement conditions. That was definitely a wrench in things as well. He did tell me he wants to ride a bagger someday, and that's something the fact that his crew chief is Kyle Ohnsorg. He's got a really great relationship.
Yeah, and speaking of Ohnsorg, Jay, we know that Kyle did some testing, too, on this Krämer APX-350 MA, the early development of this motorcycle.
Yeah, Kyle's done a good job. I was here in November, Greg, when he was running the bike around, and they were trying to sort out some gearing and things like that for when we come back here. So he's been a very instrumental part in the development of this bike. So now the 40 has found himself, that's Correa, he's found himself been able to run down the 31 down that back straightaway, get through. So now we'll see if Correa can get himself and pull away. So right now it's just a big battle, as you saw that Vosberg had the thought about running it back up underneath there. Now you're going to see him maybe try to do it here. We've seen him make a couple passes in this area earlier. Not going to be able to get by Correa there, though.
Vosberg on that 31, 14 years old, about 5'6" and 126 pounds. He fits nicely on this Krämer APX-350 MA. All right, so out front is Di Mario now 6 seconds ahead of Paige, who's got some time on Correa, another 6 seconds, and this is that battle between Correa, Vosberg, Drane, Garcia, Sanchez, and Dreyer holding on to the back on the 22.
Drane always just seems to be able to find his way back to the front of this group, so Zessenson bike is obviously working very well for him as we got 3 laps to go. There's Di Mario. There's Bodie Paige doing a really good job as Paige to put himself into this second spot. Was lucky enough to meet him yesterday. And here's that big battle again as Vosberg's going to try to find his way back to the front as they crest the top of that hill headed down into turn 1. Also, Ella has moved herself up a couple spots. You see on the 22 there, she's going to try to close that door. She does that, Greg, to Garcia. So now she's moved herself up just a little bit further in the order amongst this 6-rider battle.
Keep an eye on the 22. She keeps getting faster and faster. But, Jay, I want to talk about the 59 of Drane right there. We were told that he has a track limits warning. So if he goes off track again in that section where he ran wide, that's going to be a 2-second penalty. So Drane's got to keep it nice and tight.
He ran wide a little bit on the exit of, I believe it was turn 19. Just made a mistake and got in there a little bit fast. And see, these two guys now, they're starting to race it up pretty hard, the 40 and the 59. They're going at each other, Greg, and for Krämer and Drane, they've let Vosberg just kind of get away now, and that's the risk that you run. As you see Dreyer, I'm sorry, yeah, she's up underneath Drane now. She's going to be able to try to draft those two bikes in front of her. She's going to have Krämer and Drane as possible people that she can draft past. But for Vosberg, this is great seeing these five kind of battle amongst each other.
In the draft, they go down what would seemingly be a very long back straightaway for these 50 horsepower motorcycles, but the 31 Vosberg starting to make a little bit of a break. Ella Dreyer looks like she's been shuffled back a little bit, going to go around the outside to try to hold on to that 5th position. This is the battle for 3rd between Vosberg 31, Drane is on the 59, Dreyer's on the 22, Krämer is on the 40, and Sanchez on the 23.
Yep, Drane's been able to close that gap to Vosberg as they ran down that back straightaway. And you know, for Vosberg, it's going to feel great knowing that he wasn't drafted, so he's maybe thinking he's got himself a little bit of a break, but 59 is really doing everything he can to draw that back, that gap.
And for Vosberg, Jay, in 2024, Azra road race champion in 2 classes. And in those classes, he was racing an Aprilia 660 Twin and a Kawasaki ZX6R. So Vosberg has experience on larger motorcycles.
Yeah, so they're going to feel like, these things are going to feel like a toy to him. As you see Ella Dreyer now, as you see Drane goes up the inside, he's going to run a little bit wide. And you see Ella getting up there as well, but she's trying to run those two guys down in front of her with 2 to go. Vosberg and Drane have just broke through here for 3rd and 4th. Now Krämer's going to try to go down the inside of Dreyer as they get to the top of the hill.
Ooh, these two might clamor into each other. You got to keep it nice and tidy as they go side by side to turn number 1. That's the advantage of a nice thin single-cylinder 350 motorcycle. Plenty of room to do it, especially here at Circuit of the Americas, a massive racetrack.
Yeah, you can see there are a lot of different line choices as 31 goes back up underneath Drane as they get into these very tricky S's, fast S's here. And that was just enough to throw Drane offline and let these other group again kind of catch back up. So Ella lost a couple of spots on the way up to turn number 1, Greg, between Rossi Garcia and Krämer. As she went to the top of the hill in turn 1, they were able to draft her down that front straightaway and make that pass up in that area.
This group has been fast, like Di Mario, 28.7, 6.26 is his best lap. The rest of this field, they're in the 29s and the 30s of the riders that we're looking at. So now still a 6.3 second advantage for Paige over this group.
And Garcia just gets shot out of the seat just a little bit there, didn't he, on this exit of turn 11, trying to get on the gas early on these bikes to try to utilize the draft down the back straight. So he lost a little bit of time there.
You saw for a moment the 65 of Paige up ahead of this group as they make their way off the back straightaway. Dreyer now starting to lose touch with these 3 in her own little battle. Yeah, boy, it was up the run up the front. Oh, and
23 just gets out just a little bit wide there, Greg.
Yeah, didn't know if she was forced out wide.
Yep, Derek Sanchez just got out on that. He just got out there a little bit wide. That's going to give Ella a straight shot to try to catch back up to the 40 there.
Look at the battle for 3rd place, the final spot on the podium with about a lap and a half to go around this 3.4-mile circuit in Austin, Texas. During a MotoGP weekend, this is the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul as part of the Road to MotoGP program. As Alessandro Di Mario has checked out, he is 15 seconds up the road from this group that we've been watching for these last couple of laps.
Yeah, now it looks like it's going to be a shootout between these two for the final transfer spot, or final podium spot, obviously, with Bodie Paige up the road. You can see Bodie going up the hill. DeMarco's at the top of turn 1. You see Bodie up there ahead. White flag, Greg, last lap. So now we're going to see if the 40 of Krämer can run down Drane and Vosberg and maybe bring Ella Dreyer with him. You know, you got to get close. You got to make a perfect run through the S's right now to try to close this gap, because for that final transfer spot, it looks like it's going to be between 2 guys.
It seems like for these bikes that this S section here of this racetrack has been critical. Some riders just have it absolutely dialed. As we look at now you know, the 59 of Drane. Let's see how he gets through this S section right here.
Yep, he's done a good job of always being able to find his way back to this third place spot. So now he's going to be in the last lap battle. Here, as you see Vosberg doing a really nice job. Vosberg thought about going down the inside there. He's probably going to be better off maybe just trying to draft Drane on the back straightaway. But, you know, Drane's stature, he looks very small. He's tiny. You know, I saw him yesterday, and that's another good reason, another great thing for him to be able to pull up to the back of Vosberg. So, yeah, he closes that door. So good for Drane closing that door as they come into turn 11, sorry.
Ooh, little wide.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt him too bad, though.
So there's a look at Di Mario, your leader. And you can see the gap back to Paige as Di Mario on this final lap has done what we thought he was going to do at one of his favorite circuits where he clinched the SC Project Twin Cup Championship in MotoAmerica last year. And then Bodie Paige out in second place on a lonely run. And then this final battle for the last spot on the podium between the 31 and the 59.
Vosberg does a good job. So he waited to the back straightaway, was able to play it to his advantage, do something with braking at the end of it. So now the 31 is going to be doing everything he can to try to break away from Drane through this whole next little stadium section. As they come down through here, he's been very strong in here as 31. So Vosberg does a good job closing the door down. Now he's got to make this run, Greg, through the very fast turns 17 and 18. And you can see Drane right now is thinking about where he's going to make this move as Di Mario comes into the last corner on his final lap.
Well, he's been the talk of the town on his Warhorse Ducati American racing machine, and he gets it done in fine style. Alessandro Di Mario to the stripe, takes a checkered flag, and the inaugural win of the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul. In second place, here comes the 65 of Bodie Paige, gets it done on a CTR D&D Cycles, and this final run to the podium, and it looks like it's going to be Sam Drane on Estenson Racing. He gets it done in that final corner. And that's going to be your inaugural podium. Di Mario, Paige, and Drane. Vosberg in fourth place. Correa in fifth. Garcia in sixth. Ahead of Ella Dreyer and Sanchez. With Chase Black coming in the ninth place, just ahead of Mervis and King. So, Jay, looking at this, a 28.726, the fastest lap of the race by Di Mario. He did that early on in the race, like the second lap.
Yeah, to break him, didn't he? It actually worked out well for him with Drane going up underneath him in the beginning of the race, running a tiny bit wide, and then giving Di Mario a straight shot through those S's on his opening lap on brand new tires. And he was really never to be headed after that. As you see the incredible, the consistency that he shows in those lap times, Greg, just running most of the race in the 28s. So, yeah, looked like a pretty easy one for him.
Massively important, really, to get this race under your belt. We haven't had a ton of time here. We had a wet session, as you mentioned, a couple dry sessions. And so this information that these riders are getting going to play out in race number 2. We'll be back to hear from our winner after this.
Talent Cup by Motul is brought to you by Parts Unlimited, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket power sports parts and accessories. Parts Unlimited, we support the sport. Motul, powering the future of racing. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
All right, so the very first race of the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul ever done and dusted. Di Mario with a 9.4-second lead, a win over Paige. Drane, Bosberg, Correa,
1 second.
Rossi Garcia, Dreyer in 7th, and Sanchez rounding out your top 8. Mervis in there as well. Jay, I think the thing to talk about too is we have a big cluster there, 3rd to 7th, that we're all running around the 29 range, so if they can figure it out. All right, let's get down to Hannah with our winner.
Alessandro Di Mario winning the first race of the season by quite a margin. Take us through it. How'd you get it done?
I just want to get a good start, and it wasn't too good, but I was able to, come out in first out of the first turn. So I just want to thank the whole team. The bike felt amazing. Simone, Bobby, just Faraci, everybody that's helped me out, all my sponsors. KYT, it flew off, but it was there. Dainese, Fastlane, just MotoAmerica. And I would just want to thank MotoAmerica and the Talent Cup for this opportunity. Thank you.
Congratulations. Moving right on over to second place, we've got Bodie Paige making his MotoAmerica debut and a podium finish. It was quite a battle there. How was your first race?
It was good. The boys rode great. My team does awesome to prepare the bike and give me all the equipment I need to do good in races. But, man, he's quick. I didn't have the pace to keep up, but I just kind of rode my own race, just did my laps and just stayed focused. It's pretty physical out there with how long the track is, so it was good. I'd just like to thank everyone who makes everything happen. We couldn't be here without all of them. Corey Texter, who made most of all this happen. Rob, for being my mechanic. Dylan, Dad, I couldn't be without him as well.
Congratulations. Second place to Bodie Paige. Rounding out our podium, another new face, Sam Drane, making his MotoAmerica debut as well. Quite the battle for third there. How'd you get it done?
Yeah, those boys were fighting hard. We just kept swapping back and forth. Hit the few laps, so I had a few big moments and dropped back a bit, but kept pushing. And I'd like to thank Arai Helmets a lot, Blue Crew, Yamaha, Monster Energy, Arai Helmets, Revit, City Boots, just everyone who got me here. I'm just really happy to be here.
And there you have it, your very first Talent Cup podium, guys.
14-year-olds and a 16-year-old in this Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul. Let's take a look at the series calendar real quick. We're here at Circuit of the Americas. We've got one race to go. Then next week we go to Barber Motorsports Park, back-to-back with this championship. So excited. Then the big long straightaways at Road America. They're going to be at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That is with, not with MotoAmerica, different series, but then we're at VIR, Circuit of the Americas for us, and then New Jersey Motorsports Park. Well, there it is, the first race ever for Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul. And congratulations to our winner, Di Mario. We get to do it one more time today, so you got to hang tight for that. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you real soon for race number 2.